love my channel and would like to show your support, please click on the link below this video and become the patron of the Ushanka Show. For as little as $1, you can help us grow and create the new, interesting videos about the life in Soviet Union.
Hello comrades, and welcome back to Ushanka Show. Today I would like to touch one more time the topic of religion in Soviet Union and how the Soviet government was fighting the religion. And construction began in 1937 for the Dvorets Sovietov, actually not Dom Sovietov, Dvorets, the palace of the Soviets, began in 1937. Actually, the Soviet government announced like an international competition for the best design of the main building of the country. So it was quite a big deal, and they wanted to create something that could be visible from the whole world, from anywhere in the world. And even school people and retirees and anyone was sending their ideas and designs. 160 architectural projects were submitted, 24 of those from overseas, from Europe and America. In the end, there was 3 designs were kind of chosen. One was by Boris Iofan, which actually won, and even American Gamilton, he got a prize for his design, but actually the decision was made to build by design of Boris Iofan. And interestingly, that all 3 winners, they presented this project, which was huge, massive, super tall buildings, and the other designs were just like modern and kind of like really sharp ones were refused. So a lot of people got upset because they at that time, like in 1920s, there was a triumph of constructivism, this new style of architecture, and suddenly in 1930s the palace of Soviets, Dvorets Sovietov, the palace of Soviets, was back to this humongous giant, like a palace like kings have. Many Soviet architects actually sent a letter to Comrade Stalin wondering what's going on, why such a horrible design was chosen. But of course, that was the idea that, and we can talk about it later, but I think what the idea was, the Moscow will be the capital of the world when the whole world will become a socialist and all the countries will join Soviet Union, so to be the union of the Soviet world, and the Moscow will be the capital of the world. So Moscow should have really big impressive building, and the dimensions of that building is truly, I would say, insane. Building by itself was planned to be taller than Empire State Building. Of course, that's a big deal. Since the Soviet Union is the strongest country in the world, it should have the tallest building in the world. So that building, which by itself would be just the base for the monument of Lenin, so you have like the Empire State Building height, just the building, and then they plan to put a statue of Lenin on the top of it, which would be twice taller than the Statue of Liberty. So what I have, of course, here, it's in meters, but apparently Statue of Liberty all the way up to her torch is 46 meters, while the statue of Lenin on the top of this insanely tall building was 100 meters. So it's like 300 meters. I think it's a building, and then another. So yeah, the 400 meters tall, so half a kilometer, almost meter tall building, and a Lenin on the top. So that's how giant this building's supposed to be. Inside, the main thing would be the big gathering place for the people should fit up to 20,000 people, and the total area was 12,000 square meters. So you can imagine there should be so much ventilation, and just the basement itself, it was a huge project on its own just to make a basement solid enough to have this giant building on the top of it. As I said, in the final design, it was over 400 meters tall, so taller than Empire State Building. So about a head of the Lenin was planned to be taller above the Empire State Building. Then, of course, they got rid of the Cathedral of Christ the Savior and started digging the basement. So they finished building the basement in 1939, and of course the war started in 1941. Germany attacked Soviet Union, and of course project was cancelled that moment. They took used metal from the basement to build different defenses, and after war was over, there was no more plans to continue with construction. And there's an interesting theory which was offered by Suvorov. I don't know if you're familiar with his book. He wrote this famous book called The Icebreaker, Ledokol, when he talks about who actually wanted to start the war in 1941. It's a different topic, but anyways, so his idea was that Stalin was planning to win the war, to unite the world under Soviet Union, to have a Moscow as the capital of the world, and this building will be the tallest building in the world, representing the triumph of the communism. But since the war didn't go as he planned, we took part of Europe, but not all of Europe. He completely lost interest in building this impressive Dvorets Sovetov, and that basement, giant round basement, stayed abandoned for a long time. It was just the basement, like half swamp, because it was filled with water, and it stayed like that till 1958. And then Comrade Khrushchev, after death of Comrade Stalin, they said it was his idea that to turn that empty basement into the swimming pool, and that's how the biggest swimming pool in Soviet Union was created, and it was one of the biggest ones in the world, called Moscow. So they utilized unfinished basement for the church. For the Dvorets Sovetov, and since it was a round shape, they just utilized that round basement and created this huge heated open swimming pool. So you can go there in the winter or in the summer, and it was open, nothing was above it. And it was a popular destination, of course, among Muscovites. And it was open till the end of 1980s. It looks like it was a perfect time, and right after the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, this swimming pool also, they stopped using it because of replacing it and running it was too expensive. So it was sitting abandoned again for 3 years. In 1994, it was taken apart, and on January 7, 1995, so 60-some years later after it was destroyed, there was construction started all over again, and the Cathedral of Christ the Savior was rebuilt again and became, as I said, the tallest Orthodox Christian church. There were some design changes compared to the original design, and I remember I read articles somewhere that I think there was some foreign leader came, maybe from Germany or from the United States, I don't remember what, but So this leader got upset because he saw amount of money and the size of the church being built, and because Russian government was begging for money to support economy, and at the same time they managed to find money to rebuild this church. But anyways, that church right now is back in Moscow in its all its glory. It looks beautiful, and the goal goes in circles. So this giant project of the Dvorets Sovetov never happened, and now it's church again. Well, I hope you enjoy my show. As always, don't forget to put likes under this video, share with your friends, and we'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.